I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting from Monday, August 7th, 2023 to order at this time. And we'll turn this over to our County Manager, Ms. Sharon Griffin, for the invocation. And we'll follow that with Mr. Ben Warren, Assistant County Manager, in our pledge.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners and their deliberations and bless them with wisdom and guidance as they address the items on today's agenda. Father, we pray for our military and our first responders who continue to serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Amen. And now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here today, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to acknowledge the elected officials with us this morning. In the back, Sheriff Chris Thomas. Appreciate him being here, and sitting there amongst the seats there is our Register of Deeds, Ms. Amiga Jarman. And then up front here is Alderman from North Topsail Beach, Mr. Rick Grant. Appreciate y'all being here. And then not elected, but Superintendent Onslow County Schools, Dr. Barry Collins, is here with us as well. I would like to ask that all in attendance please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue upon which the Board of Commissioners has authority or control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner's comment period on the agenda. At this time, we ask for a motion to adopt today's agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion. Second. And a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, we have an agenda for today. Now we need an approval of the items on the consent agenda. Have a
So
motion.
moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, consent agenda has been adopted. Ms. Griffin, public comment.
Thank you, Chairman Foster. No one has signed up for public comment today.
All right, thank you very much. And we're going to move right into item number 4, Ms. Griffin, with a public hearing.
That's right. Chairman Foster and Commissioners, we have one public hearing today, and it is consideration of the amendment to Section 4-23, Section 2 of the Animal Services Ordinance. And at this time, I will call Richard Gabbert, who is our Animal Services Director, up to the podium to give a staff background.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. On July 17th, the board voted to proceed with a public hearing on the proposed amendment of Section 4-23, Section 2. The proposed amendment is being proposed to ensure that the ordinance does not conflict with the state law as it regulates the implementation of microchips. A copy of the proposed amendment has been made available for public review at the Onslow County Animal Services Facility located at 244 Georgetown Road in Jacksonville since July 18th, 2023. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners conduct a public hearing on the proposed amendment to Section 4-23-2 of the Onslow County Animal Services Ordinance. Following the public hearing, the proposed amendment will be ready for the Commissioners' consideration. If the proposed amendment is approved, it is requested that the board authorize the chairman to sign any necessary documentation to effectuate the amendment. That is all, Ms. Griffin.
Thank you so much, Richard. I will now, at this time, open the public hearing, and no one has signed up, so I'll make a call to the audience. If anyone would like to speak specifically about the amendment to Section 4-23, Section 2 of the Animal Services Ordinance, if you could come forward at this time. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. It is now available for the Commissioner's consideration.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gabbard. Ms. Griffin?
Thank you. Chairman Foster and Commissioners, we have 4 items coming up next that are from our tax administrator, Mr. Kevin Turner.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners. North Carolina general statutes require that the tax collector provide an annual settlement to the Board of Commissioners. The annual settlement process provides for a preliminary report containing a sworn statement affirming that diligent efforts have been made to collect the taxes due. The report also includes the following lists. List A is a list of persons owning real property with unpaid taxes for 2022 per North Carolina General Statute 105-373A1. The total amount due for that is $881,950.17. Next, List B is a list of persons owning personal property with unpaid taxes for 2022 per North Carolina General Statute 105-373A1. The amount due for that, and I need to point out there is a correction that needs to be made to the agenda. The amount should read $371,862.88 rather than $852.88. These figures are taken from the report that is included in your agenda, and the figures on the report are correct. And with that, it's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners accept the preliminary report with the sworn statement included therein and the list of owners with unpaid taxes for real estate and personal property. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Next is an annual settlement of the tax collector, the settlement for current taxes for 2022. The settlement for current taxes, North Carolina General Statute 105-373A3, states that after July 1st and before he is charged with taxes for the current fiscal year, the tax collector shall make a full settlement with the governing body of the taxing unit for all taxes in his hands for collection for the preceding fiscal year. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the settlement for current year taxes for 2022 per North Carolina General Statute 105-373A3. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do have questions.
Sure.
Can you just explain for me, what exactly does settlement mean? Does that mean that we're walking away from the money?
No, ma'am. It means that we're balancing. The settlement is the amount that is uncollected.
Okay.
And I am settling with the Board of Commissioners to let you know how much is remaining uncollected.
And then it's pursued as we go into the next items here?
Yes,
At a
ma'am.
different,
Yes, ma'am.
more strong level? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
And Kevin, we pursue that collection for 10 years before it's written off, right?
Right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when
So
it's,
that's why that big amount for the next item is?
yes,
okay.
ma'am. And when it's written off, that doesn't mean we would not collect it if someone were to come in to pay it. It just means we cannot enforce collections after that 10-year period.
Thank you for the explanation. All right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Okay. Next is the settlement for prior year's taxes. And these are charged back to the tax collector. North Carolina General Statute 105-373B provides that annually, at the time prescribed for the settlement provided in subdivision A3, the tax collector shall settle with the governing body of the taxing unit for collections made in prior year's taxes. Taxes for the prior years in the amount of $1,778,593.92 are to be charged back to the tax collector. And it's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the settlement for prior year's taxes per North Carolina General Statute 105-373B. And I'll be happy to answer any additional questions you may have about that one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
And lastly, we have the order of collection for the tax collector. North Carolina General Statutes 105-321 stipulates that the Board of Commissioners approve an order of collection authorizing and empowering the tax collector to utilize all available statutory remedies in collecting delinquent taxes. The order of collection has the force and effect of a judgment and execution against the taxpayer's real and personal property. The order includes 2023 taxes which become due September 1st, as well as prior year's taxes referenced in the settlement. It's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the order of collection and authorize the chairman to sign the order of collection pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 105-321. I'll be happy
Motion
to
to
answer any
approve.
questions.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Chairman Foster and Commissioners, our next two items involve the library, and I'd like to welcome Jennifer Whaley, our Library Director, who will go over these two items with you.
Good morning, Chairman Foster and members of the board. Thank you so much, as always, for your support. The first item I have this morning is the North Carolina Cardinal Memorandum of Agreement. The North Carolina Cardinal is a program of the State Library of North Carolina, supported by grant funds from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Onslow County Public Library became a member of the Cardinal program in 2020-2021. The major advantage of membership allows for the use of a single shared online catalog that expands resource sharing and cooperative services across the state of North Carolina, as well as cost savings to our library. The Memorandum of Agreement leverages federal and local funding to achieve operational efficiencies and cost savings for public libraries. The Memorandum of Agreement is in the amount of $12,904.08, which was approved within the 23-24 budget. Each fiscal year, the Memorandum of Agreement must be signed. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approval of the Memorandum of Agreement between the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, the State Library of North Carolina, and the Onslow County Public Library. And if approved, authorize the county manager to sign the agreement on behalf of the county.
So moved.
I have a motion,
Second.
a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is the application for state aid to public libraries. The State Library of North Carolina requires all public libraries to file an annual application requesting funding from the State Aid and Public Libraries Fund. The amount of funding is determined during the budget cycle for the state of North Carolina. Although final funding amounts will not be available until the state budget is finalized and all applications for the state aid have been received and reviewed, it is estimated that Onslow County will receive $235,069 for fiscal year 23-24. Legislation stipulates that the appropriation for state aid to public libraries is intended to promote, aid, and equalize public library services in North Carolina. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the approval of the application for state aid to public libraries, and if approved, authorize the chairman of the Board of Commissioners and the county manager to sign the associated documents on behalf of the county.
Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Is that based on population as well as usage as well?
Yes, both of those are in that formula.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Our next item is a fee change correction, and we have Katie White, our Parks and Recreation Director.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. In front of you is the proposed fee change in regard to the changes in the athletic league structure. In previous years, Onslow County was contributing $15 of each T-ball registration, a $30 total fee to volunteer athletic leagues to assist with the cost of officiating and uniform purchases. Moving forward, Onslow County will retain the full registration fee to cover these costs. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approval of the proposed revision in the T-Bar registration fee.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Our next two items are with Assistant County Manager Carrie Sanders.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. The item before you is the opioid settlement fund spending authorization. On February 6th of 2023, the Commissioners adopted Resolution 23-002, which authorized our expenditures through the opioid settlement funds through the end of fiscal year 22-23. When the opioid settlement technical assistance team reviewed our resolution, they recommended a change. This change is from name strategy number 2 of evidence-based addiction treatment must be changed to strategy number 3, recovery support services. This doesn't actually change the program or the service. It is actually just the name of the strategy. So there are specific reporting and outcome measures for each strategy. So this will allow us to accurately report the financial and impact reports that are required. So it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the recommended changes to ensure compliance with the opioid settlement memorandum of agreement and authorize the chairman to sign on the county's behalf.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
So this is implementation of a plan that was already drawn up, right? And
Yes, sir.
I think back in February, I asked the question whether or not we could use these funds for law enforcement. And I really never got a true answer, as to whether we could or not. Would that have to be on next year's plan? It would have to be on next year's plan, first of all, I understand that, but could we use funds for law enforcement side of things? Have you found out?
It depends on what type of service or program they're offering to be able to use it. To just fund law enforcement officers, no. It has to be specifically related to the opioid.
Oh, so for narcotics units, for guys working in narcotics, for treatment in the detention center?
Yes.
Those types of things, we could use it, you're saying?
Yes, and in our next resolution that I'm going to present, one of the strategies is for the case manager in the detention center.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is, again, our opioid settlement funds for fiscal year 23-24. So the Department of Justice set forth some new guidance in July regarding the authorization of opioid settlement funds. It now requires local governments to adopt the opioid settlement funds through a local budget ordinance, and it also requires a resolution to be completed with the specific requirements to meet the memorandum of agreement. The Board of County Commissioners approved the fiscal year 23-24 budget on June 5th. Our budget did include our opioid funds and the different strategies. So this resolution is required and outlines our opioid spending plan for fiscal year 23-24. So it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider Resolution 23-010, the opioid settlement funds spending authorization, and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Our last two items are from Finance Officer Andrew Prince.
Good morning, Chairman and Vice Chairman and Commissioners. The first item I have for you is the fiscal year 2023 audit contract. A request for proposal for audit services was prepared, and we have selected Forvis LLP as the best firm to provide these services. Forvis LLP provides a client-centered approach and an industry-specific insight and knowledge, as evidenced by their recognition in the Inside Public Accounting 2022 IPA Best of the Best. We have received a contract from Forvis to conduct the annual audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2023. We are required by the local government association to have a financial statement audit done annually. The fiscal year 2023 base audit fee is $94,350 for the financial, and single audit is $5,500. And single audit. $5,500 for the passenger facility charges, and $5,530 to write the financial statements. Total for the fiscal year 2022-23 audit fees are $105,380. It is respectfully requested that the board consider approval of the contract and engagement letter with Forvis for the fiscal year 2023 audit and authorize the chairman to sign the contract and engagement letter on behalf of the county. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a couple of questions. First of all, this is a significantly higher cost than last year's audit. Is that correct or no?
No, that's actually, our audit contract was $107,000 last year.
Okay.
So it's actually a reduction of 1.5%.
Great. And it's still somebody that's the Inside Public Accounting Best of the Best. That's great.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. One question that I do have, just anticipating that there could be additional a la carte items added here. On page 94, it says something about assistance with new standards. Do we anticipate needing help with implementation of new standards? And if so, is there like a schedule fee that we could get for that from Forvis if it's necessary?
The new standard that we will be implementing this year is GASB 96. We have a contract with DebtBook, which is actually going to do what they call a white glove implementation, which will help us to get there without the auditor's assistance. Therefore, we will not have anything related to implementation in the audit contract. There is in the contract, there is a $4,500 charge for every major federal program over 3. That would be the only additional services that I would expect.
Okay. Thank you.
And we do this every year, and I guess we would expect them to notice it if something like $20 million was missing or something?
Yes, sir.
They would probably let us know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. The last item is yours, sir.
Thank you. The following budget amendments for the fiscal year 23-24 are requested for your approval. I have items B5 through B9. The first is related to senior services, special programs for aging, Title III, Part D, disease prevention and health promotion services, CFDA 93.043, are budgeted in advance of the state providing award totals. Expected grant revenue awarded to the county was less than expected by $2,036. Item number 6, the DUI unit was approved for a 6-year funding. This funding includes training funds to train deputies in traffic and impaired driving enforcement. The budget amendment increases the budget by $13,000 associated with the training. Item number 7, during the budget process, Fund 69, portion of the debt to Fund 68, was not budgeted since Fund 69 is not part of our annual budget process. This amendment will budget PFC funds allocated for eligible debt payment expense. Fiscal year 24 is the 12th of the 20-year reimbursement to the county for the 2013 LOB series. This increases the airport expenditures in Fund 69 by $259,390. Number 8 is increased allocation for contracted services to provide required case management services for inmates at Onslow County Detention Center for the fiscal year 23-24. Opioid settlement funds were purposely budgeted budgeted to create an opioid settlement fund balance to ensure funds are available to address these needs, totaling $15,864. The last item is item number 9. In fiscal year 24, $8,000 was included in budgeted revenues from state aid funding for Richland's branch library, but the expenditures lines were inadvertently left out. This amendment increases the expenditure budget to allow for the purchase of books using the state aid funding as required. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the listed budget amendments for approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you for your
sir.
consideration.
Thank you, Andrew.
No consent agenda, so we're moving right into manager's comments.
Thank you so much, Chairman Foster. I have two things I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. First of all, and it has gone out on our Facebook and in a press release, but just wanted to acknowledge we did receive the distinction of being 4th in the nation among counties in our size category for our Digital Counties Award this year. And that has to do with our commitment to cybersecurity and digital innovation. And I would like to congratulate Glenn Hasted and his team. And most counties that have a population our size, which is who we're compared to, have a lot more funds and a lot more staff to do this with. But we still have emerged as 4th in the entire nation in this setting, which we have to be proud of. I'd also like to thank Assistant County Manager Carrie Sanders, who was up here earlier. She's been working hard with, as you can tell from her bringing forth, to make sure our opioid paperwork is correct. She and our grants manager are currently going through with a fine-tooth comb and making sure we have everything exactly the way it needs to be for all of our grants. We make the absolute most of grant funding, and our staff has done an amazing job of bringing in grants and making sure that we stay compliant with those. Finally, I wanted to announce to the public, we will be doing some repairs and replacement on the landfill scale. So the landfill out at Meadowview Road will be closed on Thursday, August 17th. So please plan accordingly. If you need to bring your trash or other goods out to the landfill, it will be closed on Thursday, August 17th, so that we can serve you better with the new scale. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll start Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's the first chance I've had to comment since our county manager announced her resignation. I just wanted to say we thank you for what you've done for Onslow County the last 6 years, and wish you the very best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott.
Lately, we've had a lot of power outages for whatever reason, accidents, just whatever. I want to shout out to the power companies, and the type of work that they're doing is dangerous, and I certainly respect everything that you are doing, and thank you for service in our county. Second, it's hot out there. Make sure you drink a lot of the water and stuff. And just be careful. Yeah, you're out swimming, be extremely careful. Have somebody with you. And with that being said, that's it. God bless you, and we'll see you next meeting.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Price.
Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Football is starting up. And just want to talk about some upcoming scrimmages. Wednesday night, Southwest is home against Croatan in a scrimmage. Dixon has East Columbus that night, I believe. On Friday, Southwest will be scrimmaging Dixon at 6:30. Jacksonville is scrimmaging Richlands that morning at 9 a.m., I believe. You say, well, what does football have to do with county government? Well, a lot of what I learned or has impacted me over the years is due to having been involved in football. It shaped me into who I am. And One of the phrases that we used a lot, especially in 2004, trust the process. It was a phrase that we used. Had a left tackle. He was the only guy coming back from a season in 2003 where we had gone 16-0. Best team we'd ever had. We had probably about 25 seniors. They all graduated. He's the only kid coming back. So first day of practice, he's frustrated. Guys aren't always taking the right step, and they don't know the plays as well as he does. He's down. He's got that down step. He's got the scoop step. He's got it all. And so he comes to me after practice, and he's like, "Coach, we're just not." I said, "Look, it's the first day. Trust the process. Trust the process." And by the end of the year, we had a lot of success. Went on to win the state championship, as a matter of fact. But we had a lot of great kids. I say all of this because football, to me, has so many tie-ins to life. I got to trust the process, as a county commissioner. For me, the process and the budget was the budget committee. The budget committee did a great job for us. We outlined the goals. We put them out there. Ms. Griffin, she had her discussions with the budget team. They did a great job. They reached the goals that we set for them. So we have to trust the process, that it works, that we can rely on it. You say, well, when do we go against the process? Well, when you start going 0-10 instead of 10-0, that's the first sign you need to change the process. So when we're 10-0, I don't have no reason to change the process. It was a bad year if we went 8-2 or 7-3, but which for most teams would be great. So how's that relate to county government? Well, did the budget committee achieve the goals we set out for them? They did. A balanced budget on time, no tax increase, paying attention to emergency response, law enforcement, all those things. So they did what we asked them to do. So we got to trust the process, and I will. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Commissioner Price. Commissioner Carpenter?
Just something real quick. I was able to actually attend as a participant National Night Out last Tuesday, and usually I'm trapped inside of a booth sweating myself to death. And I just wanted to say thank you to all of those of you in the audience today, all the directors and your staff who were manning booths from the county. It was really nice to see you out there, and your people did a great job. And it was a good night. It was cool for the first time in years, so it was a very enjoyable experience. But thank you all for what you do. I know there's a couple of you I've been working with, and I just appreciate the dedication to your job that you're doing right now. Thank you so much, and have a blessed week.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Commissioner Buchanan?
Sharon, it's been an honor and what you have done for this community. I have had the fortune of working with several other managers. You are the best manager we've ever had, hands down. What you have done for this community and what you've done for our staff and our department heads is honorable, and we're going to miss you. I want to thank everybody else for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Vice Chairman Knapp?
A few things. Sharon, I'm not going to sit here and say anything about you because we have 59 days left. So I'm going to wait towards the end. But I echo Commissioner Buchanan's words. There hasn't been a finer county manager that I've seen, and I've been through 3 of them. And you've got high integrity, high character, and I know the reasons, and I appreciate you very much as a friend and as a county manager. But I'll talk about you when we get closer to that time. Real quick, I want to compliment Carrie and Ben. I reached out to them on a particular issue, and the fact that I was able to reach out to them, get their opinion, to ask them honestly what they felt about something, they gave it to me honestly. I can't ask for more than that. I appreciate that, the level of professionalism that you displayed towards me. Just reaffirmed my belief that you guys are right in the positions that you need to be, and then some. We couldn't be in better hands with the deputy or assistant county managers that we have here across the board, to include Janelle. You guys are doing a fantastic job, but I do appreciate your candor, your candidness, And quite frankly, you're just being upfront. I'd rather you tell me upfront what you think and how you feel instead of sugarcoating it and being a politician and letting it bite me in the rear end. So I appreciate that. Speaking of which, I want to rag a little bit on Ben because he's a University of Georgia grad. He's a diehard Bulldog fan. It is August. Football season begins. And yesterday, the #1 defensive back recruit from Georgia committed to Florida State. And it came down to Georgia and Florida State. And I screamed with joy, and I thought of you, Ben, because we stole one from the Bulldogs. And I'm excited about August. And to you, Brett, you better beware. Florida State is on the warpath, and I think they'll be in the top 7 this year. And we've got one heck of a returning class and a bunch of recruits. It's going to be an interesting football season. And I do think that we'll see you in the playoffs. University of Georgia. My boss is a diehard Bulldog fan, so it gets real tense on Saturdays, you know, trying to sell cars and watching our tablets at the same time at all the games and stuff. But I do appreciate you, Ben. And one last thing, on a serious note, I had a scare about a couple weeks ago with my wife. They found a mass on her, inside her, I guess, whatever scan that they did, and they did a priority colonoscopy on her to get her situated. And the whole time going down for the treatment, we were worried. We were preparing for the worst. Unfortunately, God answers prayers. There was a mass there, but it wasn't cancer. It's treatable, and that's all I can say. I'm very, very happy. My wife's very excited, and and she's been praying about it, and that's just a true testimony to answer her prayer. So if you're listening, sweetheart, I love you. I'm glad everything's okay, and that makes me happy. Have a great week.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Appreciate it. Commissioner Price mentioned lots of scrimmages this week. He mentioned the Stallions on Wednesday night and Friday night, but he failed to mention our Monarchs will be traveling Wednesday night to South Brunswick, and on Friday night they'll be going to West Brunswick for a couple of scrimmages. So big things are starting in Onslow County, so get ready to see those school buses running. And remember, when the stop arm's out, that means stop. We see lots of people passing school buses during the school year, and they definitely need to remember that it's not an option or a recommendation or a suggested. It's stop. And I appreciate Commissioner Knapp talking about the Seminoles and the Bulldogs and all those wonderful things. The only reason the kid didn't go to Georgia is because Georgia already has enough top recruits in the nation. But let's not forget the Tar Heels. We have high expectations, so we should win about 3 games by the time the season's over with. But we always think we're going to win the national championship. And that's how we always look at things in county government. We always are looking to be the best and work on being the best and bringing the best to Onslow County. And just look at the people that are here today. We appreciate what you do because we want to bring the best to Onslow County and keep the best here. And y'all do a fine job. We got a couple of new folks that have come on board. Make sure you get by their offices, say hi to them, and welcome them to Onslow County, where it's a great place to live, work, and raise a family. With that being said, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Got to throw in the freaking Tar Heels.